Hello and welcome to another edition of Inside CU Sports. I'm Sheldon Dossett. I'm here today with my first guest, Casey Bradstreet. Casey, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
You are in your 11th year coaching the women's team and in your 10th year coaching the men's. Being that I'm new, I kind of like to rewind a little bit. So can you take me back and the audience back to where you first began, your journey from New York, and then you had a stop in Pennsylvania, and then you ended up here in Campbellsville. Can you go over that a little bit for us?
Yeah, sure. So I started my undergrad at a university in Pennsylvania, transferred to a different university in Pennsylvania, swam a little bit there, and then ended up transferring here to Campbellsville. I have a sibling who is also an alum and a sport alum, and his encouragement really is one of the main reasons why I ended up here. And so I was able to compete with the reinstated women's program for a year and a half before I graduated, and then just was here. I just really felt that I wasn't done in Campbellsville, that God had something for me to do. I was still searching for my calling, and I was here. And then the coach position opened up to being a full-time position, and so they posted the position, and I had some encouragement to apply for it, and I was scared to death, and I did. And my first year coaching, like you said, was a women's program only, and I learned a ton that year about what is coaching, what is coaching for me, what are my priorities, and what are the things I'm really supposed to be focusing on, and how do I enforce what I think to be the most valuable lessons and tools that can be taught in the sport environment. And then my second year, we reinstated the men's program, and I didn't know what I was doing with that either. And I'm really, really grateful for the first few classes of guys that came in and really helped establish who we are as a program and what we're trying to do, both as a men's and women's team, and how they work together. So every year I learn a lot and have a lot of victories and moments where I think, okay, I want to do this differently or better next year. And I started with a roster of about six females, and this year I've got 22 men and 17 women. So we've come a long way.
You touched on it a little bit just then about your sort of unique background. Your major was in theater, and then your minor was in educational ministries. What has that brought to you that you've been able to adapt towards your coaching philosophy, and then also in the decade plus that you have been a head coach, how has that philosophy evolved?
Well, that's a good question. I think one of the probably the biggest tools that I've received from my theater background is the keep going, even if it's not going as you planned. There's a lot of learn on the fly, especially my first couple of years. Just some of the, behind the scenes, what do you do in your office and the forms that have to be filled out, and how do you request a van to transport your team, those silly things. All of that stuff. I had some great mentors and had to learn that as I was going, and I think the practice that I had on and behind the stage really helped to fuel that drive to do that on that end. And then so functionality wise, I think I got a lot of support from my education there. And then I think educational ministries, I used to say, was kind of about how to make church fun, and I think that I've been able to translate that into what I do now, in that the character development of my athletes and my team as a whole, the culture that we have as a family, is really, really important. And I've had a lot of moments to trial and error of what are the things that really help to enforce that and develop that, and how do I get my athletes to respond to that. And the more healthy our culture is, the more enjoyable it is and the more attractive it is. And so I think probably for the last maybe 5 or 6 years, I've been able to solidify that more and more.
You mentioned as well the roster size going from your first year to this year, and you have 15 incoming across both teams. how do you, from a coaching standpoint, integrate? What is your method, at least in your opinion, that can best serve the ones who are carrying over and the ones who are incoming?
I try to find ways to connect returning athletes with incoming athletes in different ways. One of the things that we've been doing the last couple of years in our recruiting is thinking about recruiting and training partners. So there might be 2 or 3 athletes that are paired up based on the events that they're training, their current speed that they have coming in, and looking at how do I connect them in a way that they're going to chase each other to the wall every single day. And we've seen some really good results from that. So when it comes to the training portion, I want to see who can challenge this person and how do I pair them up so that they have a good support in the water every day. And then I also look at ways to connect. How do I have my upperclassmen set the example for what the incoming need to see? And it's one of the things that I say a lot to my returners is when you came in and were new and you were looking for somebody to show you what is it that I'm supposed to be doing, what is okay, what are behaviors that coach is happy about and which ones are not, and which things are okay and which things are not okay. When you were new, you were looking for somebody to kind of set that example. So be that, whatever that was for you, because somebody else who is similar to you is doing the same thing, and you can hey, that's not a good idea, or hey, that's a really great thing, and you can encourage and rejoice with an incoming athlete just like you wanted that support when you came in.
You all are heading this weekend into an intra-squad meet, and then you have Fall Frenzy coming up as well. What's the general vibe with the team right now heading into competition?
Well, we've had several weeks of training, and I think that they're excited to just race. The intra-squad meet is all relay formatted, or primarily relay formatted, which is fun. It makes it really competitive. They're all there together cheering for each other, and it's just a fun way to remember why we get up early and do this every single day. So I know that they're really excited about it. We've invited alumni to come back and join us if they can. Come swim or just come hang out on the pool deck with each other. And I know that especially some of my juniors and seniors are excited for the last couple of classes. They've been teammates together, excited for them to come back and see each other. So really hoping that that goes well. And then Fall Frenzy, I'm especially excited about this year because we weren't able to do it last year, and we've gone every year that it's existed prior, and it's an awesome first race of the year experience. We get to go swim in yards, so it's just a different environment, and it's a great starting point. So it gives us kind of a beginning of the year compared to the end of the year. Our very last regular season meet is at the same pool, so they can really say, okay, where did I start the year and where did I end in regular season competition? And it's a really exciting format because it's 3 sessions. They have tons of events that they do. We do all of our relays, so we get a starting time for the team in the system, and it really helps us judge, okay, moving forward, what type of tweaks do we want to make in our training, and who is maybe going to focus more on one event that they weren't focusing on before. And so it's just, there's a lot of discovery that happens, but it's a lot of really great competition, so it'll be fun.
Well, awesome, Casey. Thank you so much, and best of luck to you and the swim teams this year.
Thank you.
And we will be right back on Inside CU Sports.
When I was your age, I was just like you, fascinated by stars. But now I get to search for life in the universe. And who knows, maybe life is looking for us too.
So we're like aliens to them?
Yeah. Does anyone want to be a scientist now?
I do.
Awesome. We need more girls in STEM.
Maybe we can find aliens.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just because we're being healthy at home and practicing good social distancing doesn't mean we have to lock ourselves away and throw away the key. You can still get up and stay active not only for our physical health, but for our mental health as well. Maybe it's time to pick up running again. Or you can take the dogs for a walk. And with all the barber shops and salons being closed, right now seems to be a good time to learn to cut your own hair. But no matter what you do, make sure you have fun. And for more information on what Campbell's University is doing in our battle against COVID-19, visit campbellsville.edu.
Welcome back to Inside CU Sports. With me now is our first returning guest of the year, cross-country coach Corbin Harris. Corbin, how you doing?
Doing well. Thanks for having me back.
I'm glad to have you back. You've had a couple of meets since the last time that we've spoke. How would you summarize the performance of the team over their past couple of competitions?
Yeah, so we started out with the Berea College Invitational, sort of just a tune-up. The women did 2 mile, men did 5K. It's not full race distance. Was happy with what I saw there. We had a few people who just didn't put all the pieces together, but it was a shakeout. We weren't really too worried about it, even did a little workout after the race. Wasn't a focal point for us, just wanted to get our legs, the rust busted out of our legs before we headed up to Indiana Wesleyan, which we were at this past Friday. And I was really excited to see the performances that we had at that meet. It was honestly a history-making day for us, but one thing I'm just trying to reinforce is that we're not done. This is still early, and even though we ran fast times, we ran really well. I'm definitely pleased, but I'm not satisfied. We still got a lot of work to do, and so it's definitely a good starting point. I'm liking what we're seeing, liking the progressions that we're making. Just got to make sure we're continuing to put all the pieces together week by week.
You mentioned it. Go a little bit more into those historic performances seen by both the men's and the women's cross-country teams.
Yeah, so first off, just on the debut side for our freshmen, Christy Shank, she ended up running our 4th fastest time in school history, and it was also the fastest debut for a 5K in the school's history. So just being able to see her break out so far has been exciting. And then Dakota Brady did the same thing on the men's side. Christy went sub-19 in her first 5K, right at 18:59. Dakota came back and he went 25:55 and was second on our men's team in the 8K, and that was the fastest debut for a freshman. So that was exciting to see individually. As a team, the men's team came out and were able to put together the 3rd fastest team time in program history. Just on average time, they averaged about a 26:11 and 26:12 in a really competitive field. And so that was nice to see. The other 2 times that topped them were both championship team performances, 2 of the best teams we've had in program history. And they did those at the end of the season when it was championship time when we were peaking. So even though we're having fast times, hoping that this is just a starting point for them. Definitely a first 8K, so learning experience still. Got to figure out how to race the distance. Then on the women's side, they ran the 2nd fastest time in program history. They averaged about a 19:55, 19:56, and even did that with one of our key performers, Taylor Lamar, not having her best day race. And so she'll be able to bounce back, something that we're not worried about whatsoever. And so even without all of our pieces together, already putting together top team times. But again, we're not done, hoping that it's just a starting point and then we can just keep on getting faster and tuning up as we're getting into the season a little bit more.
You mentioned kicking off some rust as one of your keys to improving in your next competitions. Is there anything else that you're attempting to dial down on your runs until that point that you all need to work on or tweak a little bit?
Yeah, so we opened up just with the Rust Buster, sort of just to get a feel for racing again. Biggest thing is this past weekend was our first time racing our full race distances, women with the 5K, men with the 8K. And so some of the freshmen, even though on the women's side, most of them, I mean, in high school they ran 5Ks. So they know how to race it a little bit. Christy Shank still relatively new to running. And so She definitely has, she needs to learn the race distance a little bit. She's already put together some big performances. I mean, she was a 22-minute 5K coming in, already went sub-19, and so I think if she can just hone in on how to actually figure out that race distance, where she needs to make her moves, how aggressive she needs to be from the get-go, that'll be key. But we also have some big returners on the ladies' side that trying to work on getting our groups put together. We have a group of 4 up front and then another group of 3 that directly tail them. So trying to get that group of 4 to work together. When one of them makes a move, having Emma Steph, Haley Lamar, or Haley Shank go with Christy, because they have the capability to run with her. They've been doing it in practices. And then our next group of Talia Scott, Nina Damon, and Maggie Lockard, really working through the race. Some of them are still trying to figure out how to race. On the men's side, definitely a lot of work to go. We started out a little hot for our first 8K. I was definitely happy with the times, but I know we have a lot to improve on because we were in a highly competitive field, first, second, 7th team in the country, all there. We had 3 guys in the top 5 at the 1K, so we were definitely out a little hot. And so just trying to figure out where we need to go out and how to race from there, and then we'll be good heading into the end of the year.
You mentioned her a few times specifically. She's been a standout this year so far, Christy Shank. What do you expect from Christy as the season progresses? I
expect her to just rely on the experience of the upperclassmen. I say upperclassmen, Haley, Emma are sophomores, but they are experienced. Haley Shank is another one that doesn't have a whole lot of collegiate experience, but she's been here and she's done it, and that's her sister. So they're going to rely on each other and just try to learning the race distance, trying to figure out where to go. If Christy had an excellent race, she ended up finishing 16th this past weekend in a highly competitive field, but she was in 6th place with the 1K to go, and so trying to figure out how to finish and how to close is going to be her biggest key. What are you personally looking forward to most heading into pre-conference? This weekend, as we go to pre-conference, it's more, again, it's just going to be a teaching race for us. We're looking to get on the conference course. It's not a focal race. It's our 3rd weekend of racing in a row, so legs are a little tired right now. We are just trying to work on some race strategies, going to approach it more as a workout style rather than a full all-out race, just so we're not burning out our legs. Look at whether, I don't know how we're going to run it just yet, but trying to use it more as a training implement, trying to see the conference course, see some conference competition before we head into the Greater Louisville Classic. Yeah, what can a smaller event like the pre-conference highlight or inform to you about the team in comparison to a much larger event like the Greater Louisville Classic? For one like this, it's just going to be what's our conference course going to look like. Some of them have been on our conference course before, some of them haven't, so really just trying to get a feel on what the course runs like, if it's going to be a fast or a slow course, and then also just seeing how we compare against other conference schools. For example, if you have, in a big field, if you have someone who's way out in front of your lead pack, sort of like how we did this weekend with Christy leading us by about a full minute, that's going to be a lot more of a point advantage in a larger field versus a smaller field. And so trying to work on closing those gaps simply just so we can run tight and lower our points total as a team rather than trying to spread that out and having one individual deliver a low amount of point total. Well, thank you, Corbin, and best of luck to you. I know you'll be running the Boston Marathon, so best to you personally, and then with you and the teams as well. And we'll be right back with more on Inside CU Sports.
If you love them enough to crawl into a play place to get them to come down, then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the right seat to make sure they're in the right car seat.
Hey, Mommy.
All right, don't forget to buckle up.
As parents, we make daily decisions to keep our children safe. But it's easy to forget that sexual abuse could happen to any child, at any place, by anyone. It's our responsibility to prevent child sexual abuse. To learn more, visit www.pcaky.org. Or to make a report of child abuse, call 1-877-KY-SAFE-1.
My name is Alex Mead. I'm the Television Programming Production Director here at WLCU. We just want to make sure we do our part in reminding you to do the important things during this COVID-19 pandemic. Make sure you wash your hands frequently, try not to touch your face, and most importantly, stay at home and practice good social distancing. For more information on what the state of Kentucky is doing in their battle against the COVID-19 virus, visit kycovid19.ky.gov. And for more information on what Campbellsville University is doing in our battle, visit campbellsville.edu.
Leaving hot coals improperly extinguished can cause a wildfire.
Hey guys, it's Smokey!
It looks as if Smokey is going to use the drown, stir, drown and feel technique. After the first drown, a good start. Next, another drink. And finally, a close feel.
Is it cool? Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Smokey, catch! Oh, my bad, Smokey.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Welcome back to Inside CU Sports, and our last guest today is Dalton Smith, first-year head coach of the kayak bass fishing team. Dalton, how are you doing?
Doing pretty good, man. Doing pretty good. Super excited about stuff that's going on right now. Can't wait to get really rolling. It's been a work in progress so far, but it's been fun.
It's the newest sport here at Campbellsville, obviously one of the most hot and up and coming sports as well. What would you say has been the interest level of prospective student athletes and of the community here?
Yeah, so I've signed 2 kids so far on scholarship, and the interest within the student anglers so far has been pretty good. I think a lot of people still haven't yet to realize opportunities in the sport, and I think that's going to grow as the program grows as well. Within the community, it's been great. Everybody, around Campbellsville and on campus is super excited about it. I was actually fortunate enough to do a Kentucky Field Show, so that was statewide, so that was awesome. Yeah, it's been fun.
Your collegiate career actually only came to an end about a month ago at the Bass National Championship. So what was it like already having been named head coach, but you're still competing?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It was pretty cool there for a while. There's 2 or 3 tournaments that I fished, and Carson Newman's head coach, Hunter Sales, is there, so I get to interact with him, get to interact with other anglers, and hear their sides on what they think about the sport up and coming. So it was pretty cool. It was kind of like I felt like I had a different responsibility, although I was still fishing. So it was different.
What are the adjustments from the players or the angler side from bass fishing to specifically kayak bass fishing?
So it all ties in together. You're out there to catch, bass, smallmouth, largemouth, or spotted bass. So a lot of the techniques are the same, and the way you look at, a river system or reservoir. The only difference, the big difference to me is you can't pick up and just take off 10 miles down the lake like you could in a boat. So you have to kind of pick an area out and really pick it apart more than you probably would if you had a boat or a trolling motor. Other than that, there's a few little things such as like the way you're setting the hook, the way you set up on things, because your kayak's going to move more than your boat, whether it's current or wind. That's that variable. So
you have gone into a little bit about the differences. A big difference is the catch, photograph, and release method. Can you go into that a little bit?
Yeah, so normally in bass fishing in college, so you and your partner work together to catch the 5 biggest fish, and you have 2 live wells on the boat, or 1 live well. They're usually separated. So you would take those fish back to the weigh-in, weigh those fish in, and they're released right there. Well, in the kayak series, there's no live well. So essentially, everything is through your phone. You're taking a picture of the fish, and it's all in length instead of weight. So you could have a 19-inch fish that might weigh less than a 17-inch fish, but it doesn't matter in this aspect. And one of my favorite things is the conservation side of things, because once you take the picture of that fish, the fish is gone right here. You're not toting him around in a hot live well. It's great for the fisheries. I mean, we're seeing a ton of pressure recently after this whole pandemic thing. Everybody was fishing there for a while. These lakes are getting a lot of pressure, and over time that's going to hurt a lake or a body of water. And that's something really cool about this, is that catch release, that release aspect of it.
How would you compare your philosophy between, or if it differentiates between your time as a student athlete and now as a coach? Or will you carry over that same philosophy that you had as a student athlete, or have you seen it change a little bit?
Yeah, so it was pretty cool. The last, I guess 2, maybe 3 years, I can't recall, I was the team president, and I got to work pretty closely with Coach Pete Hedgepath, and a lot of his decisions were kind of run by me. I tried to be the best leader I could be, so I'm taking that away from it, and I'm taking what I've learned from Pete and what he implemented in his program, because he's built a great program here at Campbellsville University, and he has a lot of connections and stuff, and he is working with me a little bit and helped me out. So that's definitely getting brought over into the kayak fishing program. And something else too, I guess, is pretty cool for me is I'm 22 years old, like you said, just graduated, so I get to relate to these kids, I guess, a little bit easier as far as someone that might be an older coach. So that's a pretty cool thing too. I feel like they can reach out to me a little bit easier maybe. So I'm excited about that for sure.
Yeah. Is there anything that you've shared with the 2 signees that you have had, just specifically about what they should or could expect, especially with the sport being just so new?
Yeah, there's a lot of uncertainties yet as far as the tournaments we're going to fish. Everything's really in the works right now. We just got a truck, we just got a trailer, and we have 3 Hobie kayaks right now. So we're building a program. We were ready to fish whenever we can. There's just a lot of things that are in the works right now. And as far as the fishing aspect of it, I have 2 great anglers so far. I'm very happy with their fishing abilities, leadership skills, the students that they are, and it's pretty neat too, because I had just got my degree at Campbellsville, so if they have any questions with professors, I know a lot of them, so I can relate to them with that, and we've been in communications about that, and everything's going well so far.
Well, Dalton, thank you for coming by Inside CU Sports.
Yes,
we
sir.
really appreciate it, and we will see you next time here on Inside CU Sports.